Hello, it's great to have everyone here today. We will be talking about what it's like to run an online business from a sailing boat. And yeah, basically, we have here today Pantelis. He is a very good friend of mine. We know each other for roughly 5 years. He joined the Nomad cruise, and yeah, and at that time you didn't have a sailing boat. You worked on boats before in the past, and you were more like building apps and not even working in this delivery business what you started now. And yeah, since then you basically since we met, you started a great delivery business in London that is now
Yeah,
almost fully operational. And at the same time, you are living and working from a sailing boat where you are currently in Italy. And today we are going to talk a little bit about what it's like to live on a sailing boat, how this works, how do the logistics works. And yeah, it's so great to have you here today, Pantelis.
so
Where
great to
from
be
where
here
part
too.
in the world are you joining us today?
I'm in Cape San Vito. It's a place in the northwest of Sicily. I was in the marina for the winter, and the last 2 days, the winter, basically the winter for the marinas has ended. Now it's high season. So when that happened, most of the liveaboards or the ocean nomads, they move from the marinas to the anchor because of the high cost and also because it's much better living on the anchor. Today the weather hasn't been great. There are a lot of clouds, but still I managed to wing foil and have a swim in the morning.
Yes, it's amazing, and I mean I've been on the boat. We visited you like 1.5 years ago, and it's been amazing
Yeah, in
to
Patmos.
see how you can run the business from there. And the internet is perfect, and actually it's not even that expensive, right? When you're starting, so we will talk
Since you've
about the
since you've
costs
been to
as
the boat,
well. Mhm.
uh, I didn't have Starlink back then, so the internet now is much faster than the internet I have in the restaurant in London, which is a fiber optic. So with Starlink, you get like really, really good connection, and it works just anywhere.
Yes, yes. And Pantelis, can you also tell us from where? No, I wanted to just one thing before we dive deeper into this.
hmm
So, anyone, if you're listening here and you have any kind of question about that we should talk about sailing, running the business from the boat, please let us know here inside the comments, inside the chat. Also, let us know from where you are joining now at this moment. But the best would be if you just if you just leave a comment and let us know if you have any questions, any type of questions. But we'll dive more into the deeper things now. But maybe before we dive in, can you just give us a little show around where you are there now on the boat
Yeah,
and
I
show
hope
us a
the
little
camera
bit?
is gonna work. One
Yes.
moment to deattach it. Yeah, it's working. All right. So I cannot really see what I'm presenting, but this is Capo San Vito. So we are on anchorage,
Amazing. Yes.
and then this is the back of the boat where it has a nice sitting area. I usually work from here. That's my setup. That's the wing foil I just used. And then as we go in the boat, uh, an inside sitting area, then the kitchen, and then I can go in the front. I've got another area here, trampoline, and basically the Savito in the front is the anchor, and those are my neighbors. And give me one moment to come back. Then that's the dinghy. This is like my car. That's what I use to go out to land. All right, and let me put the camera back.
Yes. And I mean, it's quite basically it's like a small apartment, right? You don't need to go into the cabins and everything. But basically, you have, as far as I know, you have four cabins inside the boat, and then yeah, like
Four
the
cabins and
big,
four toilets. So you got
yes,
four cabins, four toilets, three sitting areas, a big kitchen. It's like, I wouldn't say it's like a small apartment. It's like it's 13 by 7 meters, the whole area,
okay,
and it's got also levels. So it's quite big.
yes. And yes, we actually have someone else joining us from the sailing boat in Spain. So it's
Mhm.
great to have you here as well. We don't know your name, but great to have you here as well. And the copywriter, she's asking if this is a sailing boat or motor yacht. So yes, it's a sailing boat. It's a
It's a
catamaran,
sailing
right?
catamaran. Yeah, sea made in Cape Town. Complete coincidence.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite place, and I think Johannes' favorite place too. We have spent a lot of time there. And she's also completely independent. Like, I make my own electricity, I make my own water, I cook from the electricity I make from the sun. I've got a generator, but the generator I only use it in the winter or when there is not enough sun. So yes, it's a Leopard 44, not a 38. Johan is asking.
Yes, yes. And so, how does it? So, with regards to the sailing boat, now, if someone wants to start this, actually, what do you think? So, let's think that you already know how to sail, or you're thinking about starting this life. What is the kind of like the starting cost to get started with this becoming a nomad on a sailing boat?
Okay, first, you don't need a lot of experience. I've met a lot of people like Anas, a guy I met in the marina in Palermo, and we became very good friends. He bought the boat and he had no experience at all, like zero. And 3 years now, he has managed, he's still floating, he hasn't done any damages to the boat. Now, to start his lifestyle, I mean, it depends like how much money do you need to buy an apartment? Depends where, how big. Is the same thing for the boats. How old, how new, what's so you can start, I think the minimum budget if you're looking for an old boat, like you want to go on the budget side, you're looking at around 30,000, and then you can go up to millions. There is no, it
No
doesn't.
end.
There is no ceiling, like no end. You can go bigger and bigger and bigger. And hi, Konstantinos.
Yes.
So uh, my budget was similar to, I would say, mid-sized apartment between the 200 and 300,000 area. I did a lot of work on my own because I decided to go for a boat that was in charter before. I had to convert it, and that's how I kept my budget quite low. Now, if you want to buy the same boat new, you're looking at around 600, 800, but again, it depends on the budget. On the budget, everyone will have a similar life at the end, and then it depends
Mm.
how much comfort you want. Do you want to be making water on your own, or you want to go to the marina and fill up?
Yes.
It's
But what, so I mean, it's just for people like to understand a little bit how to get started, right? Like it's actually
Mhm.
cheaper buying a boat than buying an apartment. Like there's not many
It
places where you
is.
can buy, where you can do this. And then I'm wondering about what are the monthly costs? Yes, we're talking about euros. What are the monthly costs like for the maintenance of such thing? Like for example, you have internet there, right, on the boat. You have
Yeah.
a lot of other costs. As far as I understand, you don't need to spend any money if you're living on the boat and you're not staying in the marina. So, what are kind of like the monthly costs that people
All
could
right.
be?
Again, I would say it depends because it depends on the area that you are and how much you like to live on the anchor and how much you like to live on the marina. Most of the people I've met, the way they do it in the winter, because the weather is completely unpredictable, it is a bit cold. They also want to go back and see their families. They just book a marina. Usually in the winter, the marinas are very, very cheap, and you can find, like, I found Palermo, I've stayed in Lefkada, I've stayed close to Athens. So you can find marinas, and for this size of boat, you're looking at around, like, for the whole winter between 2,500 to 4,000 for 6 months. And then once you're on the anchor, it's basically most of the places are free. And then it depends, like, do you want to go in Marinas? Is it something that you like or not? Because you have the dinghy and you can always go out. So once you're off the marina, the cost is dropping. Now, I would say every 5 years you need to make a like major renovation on the boat, and every year it depends how much you want to get dirty, how much you want to be involved for the servicing and for the repairs. But judging from how digital nomads live and how we have lived in the past, I don't think it's a crazy expense.
Yeah.
But you have to get your hands dirty. If you don't get your hands dirty, then your budget is like can go from, I've met people that do it for 1,000 a month. I've met people that do
Yes.
it for 10,000 a month. So it's
Yes. No, exactly. And I mean, it's not something where we want to encourage people. You want to save money, move onto a boat. We want to
no, 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 no,
tell
no.
people like this is an incredible lifestyle that you can be living. You
Yeah,
don't need to like you basically take your home with you wherever
yeah.
you go, and it is actually much more like it can start much more affordable than most people actually think it is. And I think that like what is your point on something like Starlink? Did this change the game of internet on the at sea? Like, do you have any trouble to get stay online or?
I mean, it changed the game. Yes, it changed the game in the way that before I was using 4G, which is what we're using at this digital nomad, and it's very hard to find the unlimited path. I had 4G almost everywhere I was. There were very few places that there was no 4G because usually we don't float in the middle of the sea. We are next to a beach, next to a city, so the internet you get is quite good. But Starlink made it for 85 euros a month. You have unlimited internet and it works like everywhere in the continent that you bought it. So I have the whole Europe anywhere I go, Starlink would work. If I go somewhere, I haven't done it yet, but it's you go online. There's a process that they might charge you a little bit more, but they will give you internet. So
Yes.
I've got both 4G on the boat and Starlink. I'm not using 4G at the moment. I'm only using Starlink because it's much better. And what changed the game with Starlink is the speeds. Like I don't have any issues with speed. 150 megabps is like crazy
It's
speeds.
yes.
And
And do
also
you think
from
that is
yeah,
it like this all over the world with Starlink? Like, do people have good experiences who are on sailing boats, or is this just a European thing?
they do, except from the places that Starlink hasn't get regulatory approval. So there are some places that they haven't got like the license to operate. And although everything is there, it can work. It just does like Turkey. I went to Turkey and it was not working.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So it
But I
is
was getting
important
from
to.
4G. I was getting 4G from Greece, so I could work because Turkey and Greece is quite close. So I was getting 4G from Greece, and it was working.
Yes, that's perfect. So just a little reminder to everyone here. First of all, it's great to actually see many familiar faces here with familiar names. And if you have any specific questions, please write them into the chat. We have also, I didn't know that Ola, she was actually many sailors here. Ola was sailing around South Africa when we were there also this year now. And yeah, so if you have any specific questions, on this, please let us know here. We want to make this quite an open conversation, and just talk about this topic because we actually haven't seen so many people who are doing this, and it's incredible possibility, to live this nomad life. And I think that if people like Pantelis are doing it with a delivery shop in London, then a lot more of us can actually can do the same, right? So, how did you make it work that you are running a food delivery business in Greece? And you can do this from the sailing boat. What did you do with the business, or was this the idea from the beginning, or how did you get started with this, and how you're making it work? What would be your
So
advice?
the business was never on my plan. Like as you know, I come from the IT world, And I was a programmer. It was very easy to work from everywhere. And then I got offered a project in London, which was the restaurant I currently own. And they were having some issues. They wanted me to do the POS, to systemize the business a little bit, connect them with the delivery platforms. And then basically an opportunity appeared. The business was not doing well. And I came in, bought part of the business, and then we helped it recover. And at the moment, it's running, hopefully, still running very, very well. And we're expanding. We got a second branch. So the whole thing was like getting a good team, putting a lot of systems so you can see what's going on grounds. A lot of people ask me like, how do you manage theft? How do you manage waste? How do you manage? You just put a system and you see what comes in the business. Then it makes all the calculations for every sale, what goes out, and it tells you what's missing. So once you know what's missing, then it's easy to find it than having someone and looking where things are going.
Mm-hmm. And
And of course,
so
it started with me being present there every other week, then slowly once a month, then slowly once every 2 months. And at the moment, it's just whenever I want to go to London or where we are introducing something new, we're opening a branch, that's when I fly to London for a couple of days.
and you did this within the last 3 years, right?
No, it's a bit more. The project was back in 2017. The restaurant I got the ownership of the restaurant in 2018. And the last 3 years is when I bought the boat. So the boat I bought here in 2020 after COVID. So yeah, COVID was a very good opportunity to buy a boat because boat prices went down. And yeah, since then, I mean, I love it. It's the first time after many years I feel a place like home, because as digital nomads, we don't really have a place that feels like home. We move a lot, different Airbnbs every time. If you like sports like we do, you have to carry all the equipment. You're in the airport. While on the boat, you can have everything. I even started cooking more, which I was not doing in the past. Now I started cooking more because I have my own kitchen. So
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, it's amazing. And like the places where you are, right? You would usually need to pay millions of dollars to have an apartment with such a view. And you
yes,
stay in your boat and just jump overboard and have like the most incredible beach and everything there. So um, let's go. Let's dive a little bit into the questions. Okay.
hmm
So what are your personal biggest inconveniences of living on a boat? What are the things that you don't
inconveniences.
like? Ola is asking that.
So I would say there are two inconveniences living on the boat. The first one is that every day you need to check the weather. Depending on what the weather does, you either have to move, you either have to be, a little bit more alert. So I would say that's a good thing and a bad thing. You're connected with nature, you are, you feel all the elements, but at the same time, if you get hit by a storm, it can get quite rough for 1 or 2 days. That usually happens every 2 months. You get like 2 or 3 nights that are pretty intense. The second one, uh, everything that breaks down, you need to repair. Because you move, you cannot have, a whole service station moving with you. So slowly you start learning the boat and learning how everything works, how to fix stuff. And I would say those are the two inconveniences that I have on this lifestyle.
The fixing things, right? And I remember
Yeah,
when we met you on the boat, I think like the first 6 months you did have to buy a lot of stuff that you noticed like, oh shit, I don't have this. I need to have more of
yeah.
these things. And so it takes quite a while to have like the proper setup of the boat until you really understand what you need, right? Or
I would say it took me a bit more than a year. So I decided like the first season to go slow and understand the boat. Then I went out of the water, and then we built the boat. Like we put water makers, we make it completely independent, And at the moment, she's ready. Like in Palermo, I had to do very, very few stuff before sailing out of the marina.
Okay, okay. And how social is the life? Do you live alone on the boat? Have you ever, sailed with a partner? What is the like? Can it feel lonely? What is your take on social life as a
Okay, the take on social life on a boat. I started this lifestyle with a partner. So the first year I was traveling with a partner. I would say it's a lot better if you're traveling with a partner, if it's two of you, because you share the experience and you also like split what needs to be done. Like somebody's taking care of the maintenance, somebody's taking care of the cleaning, so it becomes a little bit easier and it's also more fun. Now the social life on the boat, uh, there's a big difference between sea life and living in the city. In the city, you don't really know your neighbors. When you're living in the sea, one is relying to each other. So where I'm going to anchor will affect my neighbor, and where he's going to anchor will affect me. And if there is some trouble, one is helping the other. So connecting, it's much, much better. Like if something breaks on the boat, a lot of time the neighbor will come and, I have this part, and he's going to give it to you. Something that that used to happen in land, like probably 2 generations ago, it still happens in the sea. And then on the
Mm.
marinas in the winter, you get a lot of people that are living on the boats and you socialize and then you find them on anchorages. So the social element is like you can have it any way you want. You can go in busy anchorages, meet lots of people. You can go in the middle of
Mhm.
nowhere, be by yourself, see the stars.
It it depends, no? And if you are
And then
now
you can always invite people.
Mhm, mhm.
Like inviting
Yeah,
people, it's something
you
that,
have a lot of visitors, right? A lot
Mhm.
of friends who join you.
Yeah, yeah.
And we also got the question here, if you accept co-workers who want to come and be part of your crew. So,
It's something I'm working on for this year. So yes, I'm working on seeing how I can have people staying on the boat and making it in a way that it's a little bit more organized and how I can have guests. Yeah.
yeah. So if you are interested in this, just you can already like follow Pantelis. We'll share the Instagram channel here as well and reach out to
Mhm.
him and yeah, just ask any other questions there as well. We have another question here. What are your favorite affordable winter marinas in Europe from Spend Life Traveling? So, where are your favorite places?
Mm,
Winter marinas in Europe. That's quite specific, right? I have a
I would
catamaran as
say
well.
with, Mhm.
So, what are
All
your
right,
favorite?
with I don't have favorites yet because the thing with winter marinas is that you get one per year. So far I've got two marinas and one shipyard in Athens. I wouldn't leave the boat long in a shipyard ever again, like especially living in a shipyard, no. Lefkada was really good. I really love Lefkada, completely protected. And Palermo was also very, very good. But I don't have the experience to just say, my favorite is that because I've only done three places so far. And they were all, like, except from the shipyard, the rest were really, really good. I would say how I pick a marina. I usually see is there a good airport nearby? Because you need
Mm.
to be able, if you're in the marina, it's winter. I would love to go to Cape Town. I would love to go and see family, friends. Friends might fly in. So, like a connected place, it's nice. I've thought of, like for next year, I'm thinking of Venice, Barcelona, somewhere in Greece. I don't know. I'm open,
Can
but
you
I don't have
explain
favorites yet.
this? Can you explain this a little bit more in detail, maybe for those people who are not sailing
Mhm.
the winter marina? Is that basically is everyone moving their boat into one destination where they kind of keep it in winter because they don't want to go traveling, or how does it work exactly?
Yes, I mean some people also change marinas in the winter, but usually in order to get a good package and to get an affordable package, You start calling Marinas. Do you have space for me? Yes. What's the quote? That's the price. And it goes like the most typical is from November all the way to April. So it's either November to April or November to March or something like that. And then you would move in a marina. I mean, you're going to move the boat, you're going to go sailing on a nice weekend, but usually that's where you relax, you stay in a marina, it's protected. If it rains, if it's very windy, if it's very cold, it's much better to be in a marina.
Or you go traveling.
Or you go traveling, yeah. I think it's a combination. Like out of 12 months in a year, I wouldn't stay all 12 in the boat. And most people stay 9 months, and 3 months they go traveling to see family. So you end
Yeah.
up spending 3 months in the marina out of the 6 that you booked it. But you know when you're away, it's a marina and the boat is safe.
Okay. Okay. Now, Masa is asking, how often per year do you change country and continent?
Last year I haven't changed continent yet. So if you change continent, usually you change it once. So if you're going to go from basically Mediterranean to the Caribbean, you're going to do it once and you're going to do it at a specific time of the year. So you get the good winds and it's quite safe. Country, I like to travel slow. So if I like a place, I might stay. Like last year, I stayed in Antiparos for a month and a half. So I did some daily sailing just to see the beach or another bay. Most of the time, I spend it in the Bay of Antiparos. And I went from all the way from Athens to Turkey, and then from Turkey, I went all the way to Italy because I found a much better marina. Like Turkey was not very well connected with flights and stuff, and the prices were super expensive, while Sicily was much better. So I just sailed to Sicily and stayed there. So I changed 3 countries in a year.
Okay. And are you planning to go around the world?
I do, yes. The challenge for around the world is that I'm trying first to build a budget, and second for the business to not rely on me almost at all, because there is the time difference is an issue. Like I'm working Mondays to Wednesdays, and then Thursday is like an overflow day, and if it's like 10 hours difference, it's going to be an issue. So at the moment, yeah, I think in 3 years I'm going to be ready to start around the world. And ideally, I would like it to be 5 to 10 years. So I can
Okay.
stay in places like if I like a place or if I like a country, I can stay as long as I'm allowed to.
Cool. And another question is, when and where did you make your sailing license?
So I've been sailing since I was a kid. I mean, a small boat, Optimist and lasers. Then I stopped sailing for many years. I had a lot of experience in motor yachts, and I got my sailing license. I was sailing, but I didn't really need a license. I got my license 6 months before I bought the boat.
Okay.
And if it's a private boat, you believe it or not, you don't need a license. Sometimes you need a license for the small boat, for the dinghy, but you don't need a license for the big one. It's like it's a regulation thing, and it's crazy, but it's very easy to get a license. Like in Greece, what I recommend if people want to get a license, in Greece you can get it in a week. So you fly for a holiday for a week, you live on the boat, and in a week you get your license. And you get a full license because in Germany has got lakes. In Greece we don't have lakes, so it's an offshore license. You go directly for the highest one, and it's
Cool.
fun too. It's not something hard. It's very very good fun.
Yeah, so Johannes asking, what license did you get? Basically, in Greece, there's only one license that you get, so
There
it
is
makes
only
sense
one
to look
license in
into
Greece.
which country you go and where you make those licenses.
I mean, the license is valid everywhere. And as I said, for a private boat in most of the countries, you don't. For a private sailing boat, you don't need a license. Yeah, the RYA Daykeeper, it's one of the licenses that you get in the issued in the UK, where Olga is saying it's typical RIA Daykeeper.
Okay, cool. Um, Ola is asking, no, wait, which one? I wanted to first show this one. This is more of a question from expert. Do
Yes.
you do anti-foul for your boat yearly? This is more of a maintenance thing, right? How do
So the
you keep your
anti-fouling.
boat in good shape?
So anti-fouling, what he's asking for, when boats are in the water, they get a lot of growth underneath, and we put a special paint to prevent that growth. Uh, for me, if you use good paint, it's every 2 years. So this year I'm not going out, but I'm going to go next season. And I'm looking at solutions where you can put special paint, which is called copper coat, and you don't have to go out at all. So every 2 years you have to go out of the water, basically. How much time do I spend fixing, renovating the boat? I would say a lot in the beginning. At the moment, I've fixed most of the stuff, and I'm quite happy at the state that the boat is. So, but you spend a lot of time. Like on my week, as I said, Monday to Wednesday, I do work for the restaurant. Then Thursday, I leave it as an overflow and maintenance and servicing the boat. So 1 day a week, I spend a couple of hours just
Fixing things or
yeah,
maintenance.
upgrading, cleaning. Yeah.
Yes. So the anti-foul is that I remember because when I was visiting you on the boat, we went to go dive and clean the boat. Was that because
Yes,
you
we did.
used the wrong paint?
Yes, that was because I used basically when I bought the boat. The person that delivered it to me, it's a company, it's a charter company. They use a very cheap paint. This year I have a much better paint and it hold up really well. So yeah, it depends. Like you learn, you try stuff
Exactly.
and you learn.
Yes. Um, did you have any extreme storm experiences?
Yes, you cannot avoid that, unfortunately. Every 2 months, I would say you get a storm. Once, once per 4 months, you get like a bit of an extreme one. I had it twice. So I had it once in Greece, almost 60 knots. But I knew it was coming. So like I went and researched where I will drop the anchor, how much chain I'm gonna do, and I was fine. I had it in Mykonos, where we had a little bit of damage on we broke a line on the back, like because of the wind, this one line broke, but we had 3 lines because we were expecting it. So again, it was fine. So you try to prevent as much as possible. And looking at the forecast, I mean, it's more prevention than waiting for it to happen.
So when do you look always at the forecast? Do you look every day or?
Yes, on a daily basis. So it also depends, like on the place that you are. There are some places that are 100% protected. So there you're more relaxed. Where I am now is not 100% protected. So it's like kite surfing, it's you don't want specific winds to come. Usually you want winds for the boat to come from the shore. You want offshore winds, and you don't want onshore winds because onshore winds bring waves. So
Mm,
you have to
mm,
avoid that. And if it's a bay that is completely closed, then it's onshore from all the directions, so you're quite safe.
mm, mm. But basically, in the beginning, you made a lot of mistakes, right? And then you just learned a lot from it, and now everything is a bit more
Yes,
relaxed. Or
I did. Yes. The first time we went sailing, we put too much sails up. Then the wind started picking up, and the boat became almost uncontrollable. But that was like for 3 minutes until we figured it out. It felt like much longer, and then slowly you build up experience, and yeah.
yeah. So now Johan is asking, when you
Hmm.
say you bought the boat and had to do a lot on it, what was wrong with the boat, and what did you have to fix?
Okay, there was nothing wrong with the boat. I mean, some people buy boats that there are things that are not like needs to be fixed. On this boat, there was nothing wrong with it, but she was not a liveaboard. That meant that I didn't even have, in order to have 220 volts, like the normal power that you have in a house, I had to start the generator, which is something that if you're living, you cannot be running the generator all the time. So I had to make it completely independent. Solar panels, inverters, water makers, uh, and then a lot of cosmetic stuff and a lot of like comfort stuff like cushions, uh, new ropes, new lines, the standing rig, uh, making it a home, making it a home.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you as well because I think you told me
Mm-hmm.
this in the past, but I cannot really retell it. Or, but I thought I quite like the idea. There are also
Okay.
different ways of how you can purchase boats, right? Like there's even financing available, and there's like even ways how you can buy a boat that you can use in different places around the world. Like, can you talk a little bit about this?
Uh, I don't think there are many ways to buy a boat.
Okay.
Finance depends on your status. So
Okay.
usually, I didn't get finance on my boat. I know you can get finance. I know you can have like somebody asking about Brexit. Yes, Brexit made it a little bit harder. It depends on the flag you're flying. Uh, and then when you go in a country that is not, you have to ask basically what the regulations are for the country and how long the boat can stay and how long you can stay as a person. EU is pretty
Mm.
clear. You can stay for 18 months. If you're not an EU flag, you can stay 18 months in each country. And then I would say purchasing the boat, you can either go and buy a boat that was already a liveaboard, which means you're going to spend a lot of money on her, which means you're to buy, but then you're not going to spend a lot of money to upgrade. Or you can
Mm.
go and buy a charter boat. You're going to buy much cheaper, and then you have to upgrade.
Mm, mm. So if you buy from someone who already was traveling quite a lot with it, there's so much tools and stuff
Yes,
that's included that you usually don't
yes.
really know what that you still
All the
need to.
comforts are here. All the comforts are here. I would say the only thing you need to take care of is if it's a private one, boats that are not used for more than 2 years, it's a red flag. It's like a lot of things dry out. You need to use the boat. If you don't use
Mm,
her, then see things break more.
yeah. Yes. Um, Please, yeah. So if you have any types of questions, feel free to just drop it here. Let us know what you would like to know about running a business from a sailing boat. And yeah, I mean, I would like to ask you, what is your, how do you actually spend the day there? I mean, is it, do you have a routine or something, or is every day a little bit
I
different?
have I have I have a routine. I have a weekly routine basically. Mondays to Wednesdays, as I said, I work for the restaurant, so I would start my work early in the morning and try to finish at around 3 or 4 o'clock. Then Thursday is more like what maintenance need to happen on the boat. If something is overflowing from the restaurant, we'll go on Thursday. And then Friday and the weekends, that's where I just kite surf, sup. So again, it depends on the weather. If there is no wind, I will go supping or hiking. If there is wind, I will go kiting. If there is not enough wind to go kiting, I will go wing foiling like I did today. And then you can also like rent a car if you want to experience inland, if you want to see like the place that you are and go a little bit deeper inside on the place.
Mm,
Then
mm.
I've got the dinghy to go out. I've got an electric skate. I don't know if you saw the electric skate from you. You have the same one. So I've got an
Yes,
electric skate that I can wander around.
yes, a lot of comforts. So now we got some questions here with regards to tax. I mean, are you a tax resident somewhere in the world, or?
Yes, I'm a tax resident in the UK because that's where my business is. Uh, I mean, taxes, we can have a very, very long conversation. I mean, with the digital nomads and us traveling a lot, it's always a gray area. I just keep it simple and leave it in the UK.
Yes, but there are definitely possibilities how you can probably have some tax residency in a country where you just need to show up every 6 months, like
Yeah,
Dubai.
yeah.
You could do something with Cyprus as well, which could also save you probably quite a lot of money as well, depending on where you set up your business. It's a very
Mhm.
long topic, but there are some
Yeah, it's
great
a very, very long
possibilities,
topic. Yeah,
definitely, especially if you have a sailing boat. So, um,
yeah.
yes, that as a
And it
little.
also depends how much time you spend in each country. Like a digital, it's exactly the same as being a digital nomad. It's how much time you
Mm,
spend in a country and if you have to register there or not.
yeah, if you're doing more than 6 months in one country, then it's probably better
You
not.
should be, yeah, investigate.
Exactly. Um, if I want to start, yeah, if I want to start a 100% online business, what is the best place to locate the business if I live on the boat? 100% online business. That also really depends where you have your clients and where how you need to collect your
Yes.
money as well, because sometimes you can have like really good deals on the country where you set up your tax residence or the online business, but then it also depends on who are your customers and where they come from and how you want them to pay you, or if you just need to send out a few invoices and stuff. So it's very, very difficult to answer. Also depends on what is your personal residency, and then can you make it there and stuff.
I would
um
also say that it always works nicely if you make the money in a country that the rents are quite high, but you're not there. So you have access to higher incomes, which is what a lot of digital nomads do. So all the like UK is good, Germany is good, Switzerland is good, all the countries that, yeah.
yes. How do you run electricity on the boat?
So because I have a background in electronic engineering, I've gone very, very wild with electricity in my boat. I've got like 2.6 kilowatts of solar panels. Uh, I'm making more electricity than I was using back when I was living in an apartment. So I've got enough power to run everything from water heaters to air conditioning. I cook with electricity. I stopped cooking with gas. So charging a laptop is not even something that I consider that is using energy in my system. So it's like it's a very big system. I love it, and it's just I don't have to think about it. So electricity, I've got a lot, and using the electricity, you can make water. So
Mm,
electricity is quite important. Now the whole like electricity and water are the two things. And if you
yes.
have electricity, you sort out the water issue too.
Yeah. Ola is asking, do you have calls with clients or external stakeholders? How do people usually react when they realize you are living on a boat?
Oh, that's a typical one. Is the background live or is it? Where did you find this background? It's moving.
Yeah.
So I get this reaction a lot, and a lot of people think that I'm just on a holiday basically, and I'm just working on that particular week. I mean, my whole team knows, so for the team is not a surprise. But usually, when I have calls with new partners or with account managers with Uber Eats, or they're like, "What's happening with the background?"
Yes. Yes. Actually, someone was asking before as well, what was the name of the delivery business that you are running in
uh,
London?
so the name of the restaurant is It's All Greek to Me. We are based in Paddington, which is a full restaurant plus delivery. And we opened the branch in Shoreditch back in February. And this is just the delivery branch. So, and our website is it's all Greek to me.london. I
Yeah,
think we're going
it's
to include
actually.
it on the, yeah.
Yes, if you got the email, like the previous email or the first email where we announced it, is you can also find the link and everything there. Of course, we can also share the Instagram and everything from you here. I mean, in general, we did this session because yeah, I think that we should talk a little bit more about these sailing boats, and it's really like there's so much talk about van life and people living in their van, but it's also possible to do the same thing on a boat. and you can actually travel the whole world with that, right? Not just where you drive.
I've lived on a camper. I've lived on a camper. It's a similar thing, but the camper is not completely independent. So you have issues where you're going to empty the toilets. How are you going to make electricity? You cannot make water. On the other side, the boat is a lot more expensive, and it's also more weather dependent. While the camper, the weather doesn't affect it so much. The boat is affected a lot by the weather. The boat can go around the world. The camper is a little bit harder. And with a camper, you have places that are not legal to stay. With a boat, most of the places you can drop your anchor and stay. I think that's the quick summary.
Exactly. And what about the sailing boat versus catamaran?
Sailing boat versus catamaran. I think it's a budget issue. I've never met someone that went from a catamaran to a sailing boat to a monohull, but they are both sailing boats. So one is a multi-hull and the other one is a monohull. So the catamaran is much more expensive on 2 engines, double the price on the Marina. If it's not double, it's 70% more. She's a lot more stable. So when you're in anchorage, you don't move that much. A lot of people say that the catamarans are not sailing that well. I don't want to go into that debate. Most of the time we're on anchor. I think cats sail very, very well, and you don't sail on the side, which is nice when you're racing, but when you're living on a boat, it's better if you are quite flat.
Yes, yes.
But
And
both lifestyles are really good, and if you can afford a sailing boat, then just go for it. If you can afford for a
yes,
monohull, then just go for it.
yeah. So I mean, we talked a little bit about the cost earlier, but like for you, what are your so we said that it's quite easy to start, but what about your average expenses per month? Maybe you talk about the winter expenses and the summer expenses because I think they are different, right?
So the winter expenses is usually the marina will be what I calculate is 2,500 to 4,000. Again, you can go to marinas that are super expensive. It's but 2,500 to 4,000 for a boat this size is something that you typically pay. If you have a
Well,
monohull,
that
it's
is for the
almost half.
winter, right? That is for 6 months.
That's for the
You
winter.
said.
For 6 months. For 6 months in
Yes.
total, not per month, the whole 6 months. Then
Yes.
in the summer, if you stay on anchor, it's very rare that they would charge you on anchor. I mean, you have some places like I wanted to go to Sardinia. I'm not going there because most of the anchorage is the charge and it's a little bit complicated. So Greece is free almost everywhere. So in the summer, you drop your expenses. And then again, it's how much you want to get your hands dirty. If every time that something breaks, you call for an engineer and you're in the middle of nowhere, they need to get paid for the time that it takes them to come, plus the expenses that it takes them to come, plus whatever parts they need to change. So it really depends. If you do everything on your own, it's a lot cheaper. And most of the time, when something breaks, you have like everything is double on the boat. So if something breaks, you can keep going for a while. It's not 100%, but if one of my engines has an issue, I can go with one engine. It's not ideal, but I can keep on going with one engine. If one of the sails breaks, I have two sails, I can go with the other one, or you have a lot of backup systems because you are, again, in the middle of nowhere. And slowly you build up an inventory of parts of things that usually break down, and you have another one standing by.
Yes, yes. And another more like logistical questions. Can you ship Amazon orders to your boat or to the marina? I think you can just use the
Yes,
marinas
I
as
got
your
Amazon.
postmates, right?
I got Amazon Prime. I got Amazon Prime for Italy just for that for a couple of months. So Amazon will ship stuff on the marina, and usually I don't know how it's going to work in Italy because in Italy I only stayed in the marina. They brought everything. They picked it up. They gave it to me. In Greece, if I'm going in Ireland and I know that I'm going to stay for 2 weeks, I usually ship stuff there and I go and pick them up. So I find like what's the local hub. DHL will have a local hub, or you find who they're working with, and they just hold it there for you. You call them up. I'm in this marina. Can you bring it? And even the supermarket, like the supermarkets, you can go online, order, and give them the place that they will leave it on the dock. You go with the dinghy, or if you're in the marina, they just bring it in the boat. So yes,
Yeah.
Amazon works.
Yes. So it's great. We are coming closely to the end of the conversation, but before we end, so if anyone has got any final questions, please let us know. We will also share with you the channel for Pantelis. So if you want to follow and connect and stuff, but before we go into these things, I want to ask you if you would now start this again, right? Like, what were like the biggest mistakes that you did? What would you, or what advice would you give to someone based on your own experiences to start with this lifestyle?
I would say the biggest mistake I would have done was you have to go for the biggest boat you can afford. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to buy a boat, upgrade her, bring her to what you like, and then see that she's small and you have to upgrade the boat and go through it over again. So I was quite lucky with COVID that the prices dropped and I got like a much bigger boat that I was planning to get. Mistakes. Mm, you cannot avoid the mistakes, Johannes. Some of the mistakes you're going to make.
Yeah.
Like, you just, and I don't see how I would have done it otherwise. I think the biggest mistake was picking, like when I went out of the water for the first time last year, I went in a place that was run by people I knew since I was a child, and I didn't really check the references. And they were late. I was, I was waiting for them for weeks and weeks to finish projects. So like when you go to the refurbishing the boat and preparing her, you need to be involved and you need to take care. It's like a home. I think it's the same thing as buying a house and getting someone to fix stuff. I think it's a similar thing.
Yes.
And doing it earlier would be nice too. I really love it. I think if I would have done it earlier, it would have been even more better. Because I was
Yes.
thinking like, is it possible? Is it not possible? People were telling me, no, you're crazy. This cannot happen.
Yeah. And it is definitely possible, and you're still, well, you're still enjoying it, right? After the 3 years,
Yeah,
who
it's
knows
definitely
whether you're still
possible.
going to be doing it in
Yeah.
5 years, but it's definitely like a nice way to see a lot of Europe, to not always book a new Airbnb every few days and still keep on traveling.
Yes.
And yeah, like, and I mean,
And I would
it
say
would be
that the
great.
other the other nice thing that I'm seeing is that lots of younger people are doing it now. Like in the past, it was all the people that were living on the boat, so they were using them for extended periods of time. They were usually the retired ones. Now with COVID and remote working, I'm meeting a lot of young people that are just going for it. Some of them
Mm.
with tiny boats, with very cheap boats, and they just try it out and they love it. Some of them with bigger, but you meet young people now. I've met people from 20 years old all the way to 60 or 70. So it's really nice to see that it's not exclusive anymore for the retired.
Yes, yes, everyone can do it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I mean, this was just supposed to be a little introduction for these things. Of course, we cannot really answer every question here, and I would really recommend that you follow Pantelis. Pantelis, do you also have any other plans, or like what should people do who are really interested in that? How can they get in touch with you?
Instagram is the best one. My plans are around the world in 3 years. I should be able to get there. I hope I get there earlier. I'm trying to push it like to get there earlier. It's going to take 10 years. Then I want to grow the restaurant. And currently I have 2 locations. I would like to go up to 5 locations. Systemizing the business, which is what I'm working on and it's what I love. I see the restaurant as a technology business. I don't see it as a restaurant anymore. and just systemize it in a way that I only do stuff that I, which is slowly getting there, bringing it down to 4 to 6 hours a week. I think we are in line on that, like the work you need to do. And also increasing the awareness of this lifestyle and inspiring other people. It's not for everyone, like the
Mm.
digital nomad, it's not for everyone, but I think a lot of people would love this lifestyle.
Yes, yes. And everyone who's really interested in this or wants to connect, or maybe you want to have a little meetup for nomad people who are interested in this
We could have
sailing
that.
part, like please reach out to Pantelis and yeah, and say that you are there, and maybe some nice things will come from that. I also think that you are going to
Mhm.
be in Taranto when we are arriving there with the next cruise on the 3rd of June, right? So
I'll
whatever.
try. I'll be in Italy. I'm not sure if I'll be in Toronto, but I want to be somewhere close so I can see you
Yes,
guys and yeah,
yes.
we can
So
try and
whoever is.
organize something on the boat, like an event or something. Yeah, I would love that.
Yes, yes. So please follow Pantelis. I've shared the Instagram there. You can also find it in the description or in the emails before. Say hello, say that you're there, and ask him any questions, anything that you need to know. Um, yeah, where to? Just one question actually, because I think here, Johannes, where can you
Mhm.
find, like, where can you buy a sailing boat online, like, where so that people can start their research already?
Ooh, yacht world is something you can start with. I got my boat from Sunsail. It's a very very big charter company all over the world. I'm very very happy with them. I mean, the boat was not liveaboard, but she was in very very good shape. And then another place you can see this lifestyle. There are a lot of sailing channels on YouTube, like
Mm,
Sailing La Vagabond, the O'Kellys, Sailing Vessel Delos, Gone with the Winds. It's a lot of them, and they just have one episode every week, and they present the lifestyle. And yeah, I started from there. I started looking at the YouTube channels and being inspired. Oh yeah, they do that. Oh, this is possible. Yeah, they're working remotely. Some people even have families. Like there
mm.
are a lot of people that are now raising a family and even like even homeschooling, not boat schooling, if you want to call it.
Yes, yes. No, so many possibilities. So thank
Yeah,
you for everyone who joined us here today. Thank you so much, Pantelis, for sharing
thank you very much,
yeah,
Johannes.
some insights into this. Everyone who wants to learn more, wants to connect, please reach out to Pantelis. If you're joining us on the cruise, make sure you tell him so that we can visit you all on the at the end of the trip. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good Monday evening, or who's joining us later. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this little live session. Okay, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you very
Cheers.
much. Bye bye.